Hi, thanks for tuning in to High on Horror. I'm Drew.
And I'm John. This episode and every future episode is dedicated to all the horror hounds and smokers out there who want to expand their knowledge of the genre and have a good time.
Today we're reviewing Bury the Bride, a movie that sets a prime example of why you shouldn't rush off to get married so fast. Am I right, John?
Forever, am I right?
With us today we have the star of the film as well as the co-writer and more, Krsy Fox. She's going to spill her guts to us in an exclusive interview. All that and more today on
High on Horror.
Interviews, reviews, and the latest news all rolled into one. All right, if you hear that noise, you know that it's time for Strain Wreck, the segment of our show that we love to start our show off with. The segment that we discuss what strain of cannabis we're getting wrecked on. John, what do we got today?
You got to get wrecked to get right. You know what I mean?
Correct.
You got to wreck yourself and then check yourself.
I'm down with
That's what everybody says.
I'm down with it.
Anyway, I got a new one. I saw the name. I was between this. I forget what the other one I was at. And I was like, I don't know. I just like the name of this one. So I got some Fog Dog.
Fog Dog, all right.
It's funny because it has Fog Dog spelled as two words. And underneath it says AKA Fog Dog. And it has it as one word.
Is it F-O-G-G or F-O-G?
F-O-G-D-O-G.
Okay.
Two words.
So just no like
it ain't no D-A-W-G, no dat.
Okay.
But
Fog Dog.
Fog Dog is a new stony indica strain from Atlas Seeds that will have you seeing the world through a haze. I mean, I feel like that was a good opportunity to say through a fog, but what do I know? This genetic combination of cotton candy, we had that a couple weeks ago. Those little popcorn buds I had that I gave you the other night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was the cotton candy. And Gravenstein OG, it elicits a nose and palate that's heavy on sugar and sweet fruits with a little diesel kick.
Sweet fruits, the way you said that.
With a little diesel kick at the end. You all about your diesels. And if you feel achy, nauseous, or just need a mental rest, Fog Dog does the trick. You know, you figure they come up with a better name. It's like telling you, you can get some mental clarity, so smoke Fog Dog. Sounds like that was supposed to have the opposite effect, and I'm going to be in a fog instead of clearing everything up. I feel like the name of this is for like when I want to forget shit and not remember shit. So.
Do you have to listen to Fog Hat when you smoke Fog Dog?
Slow ride. If you smoked, dabbed, or otherwise enjoyed Fog Dog before, let us know. Leave a review. They're asking for reviews because, I like to read off some funny ones, but...
So we're going to have to drop a review then, or you're going to have to drop a review.
I don't know if I got time. I'm a busy guy.
Okay, so check this out. While you're getting that ready, I wanted to bring up... the former director of licensing at 20th Century Fox, Josh Izzo, he was on an episode of the Perfect Organism podcast. And this was reported by Bloody Disgusting, by the way. That
nice alien reference, by the way.
On this podcast.
It's smooth.
He revealed that there is a completed 10-episode anime series of Alien vs. Predator that he produced that is sitting in the vault, just rotting. It happened during the whole Fox and Disney buyout, and it was at a time when like Alien Covenant was like upcoming, like, about to happen, and the Predator hadn't happened yet, so it was at a standstill type of moment where they were ready to release it, and then the buyout happened, and it's sitting in the vault, and unfortunately, it looks like it might never get released. I would love to see that.
I would too. We'd probably be disappointed, but...
I don't know. It's got to be better than the movies.
Well...
The action, you know what I mean?
You're not setting the bar very high.
No, I don't know.
Some of the later ones. Obviously not one or two.
Yeah,
they're the perfect organism.
No, I can't imagine what that would have been like. The different Predator designs we would have seen, the action... I'm like disappointed. I hope that one day that leaks somewhere and that we get it because my son would love it. I'd watch it with him. I know it's probably super violent, but it's green blood, right? It's not human blood.
That makes a difference, right?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But so if I think now's a good time to get on to horror history.
Horror hiss?
This week in horror history.
All right, let's kick this off. June 4th, Poltergeist from 1982. So that's what, 42 years? Or no, 41.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell year we're in.
Man, it's been too long since I've seen this. I'm gonna
Same.
have to rewatch it soon. But I wanted to ask you, what's scarier, the first one or the second with Reverend Kane?
First one.
First one, I think the second one. First one's a better movie. I think the second one's scary.
I was trying to think of the last time I've watched Poltergeist. I've watched bits and parts of it, like here and there, but the last time I sat down and watched it, dude, I want to say it was like 2012 when I first got Netflix. It's been a
shit.
long time since
So
I've
we're gonna
seen
maybe this
Poltergeist.
Halloween, you and I will do like a Poltergeist trilogy. Get super baked, order some pizzas.
It's got to be better than Hellraiser, right?
Shit.
Yeah. June 4th also. It's funny. Every time I bring this guy up to Nicole, we have the same conversation. Who's that? And then I got to explain it. I'm like, we go through this convo every time. Because I said he's going to be at the con, and I was like, I really want to see
to Monster Mania, yeah.
Keith David. I said, because I didn't get to see him last time. And every time Nicole goes, who's Keith David? And I forget what picture I sent her. Well, I mentioned Childs from The Thing. I wish she, from There's Something About Mary. I sent her that picture and she goes, oh yeah. She's like, yeah, I do think we bring this up every time. I'm like, yeah, it's every time. I'm like, Keith David, and you're like, who's that?
No, see, the issue with me is, I mean, even as a fan of his for a long time,
David Keith?
yes, it's not who is he, it's that I say his name right, because it literally flips into my head, and I'll think, nah, David Keith sounds right, but then I'm like, nah, but that's the other dude, right? And I get confused. I literally have to look it up sometimes. It still gets me.
David Keith, he played in one of my favorite sports movies. He played Parkman in Major League 2.
Remember that meme
with
that was like
Corbin Benson?
Oh, nice. I was gonna say, remember that meme where it was like, what if there was a movie where Keith David played
Yes.
David Keith like or some shit?
That should have been
hilarious.
the Face Off movie. That should have been Face Off. It should have been Keith David and David Keith.
That would have been great.
That would have, it's a missed opportunity. Somebody's got to come up with that movie at some point, right? Somebody get on GPT and make a Keith David Keith movie. Anyway, June 5th, Man with the Screaming Brain, 2005.
Yeah, I wanted to
It's
say
almost coming up another couple years. It'll be 20 years old.
that's right, and I wanted to say that if anyone listening has not seen this movie, you need to make it a priority. It is Bruce Campbell plays a guy who gets his brain switched out with a Russian cab driver. It doesn't sound ridiculous because it is, but I've been championing the movie since it came out. It's one of Bruce Campbell's best performances and B movies, and Ted Raimi foo.
Ted Raimi foo. Yeah, you said, does it sound ridiculous? I just want to point out that 95% of what Bruce Campbell does
And
is
Ted
ridiculous.
Raimi. And Ted Raimi,
It's
they're
ridiculous. So, no, I'm not surprised. Does it sound ridiculous? Yes, but it's Bruce Campbell, so I'm not.
I'm gonna believe it. Yeah.
Moving on here, June 6th, we got 2 birthdays. We got Darcy, the mail girl,
All right.
and Robert Englund.
Yeah. All right. Happy birthday, guys. That's cool.
Everybody knows Freddie Dead's the best.
You're wrong, but okay.
I don't even believe that. It's a new nightmare, but moving on.
Dream Warriors.
You're always picking the 80s ones.
Sorry.
I mean, I guess my favorite Jason is also an 80s, but in fairness, they were all 80s movies for the most part.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, June 7th, The Purge, 2013.
I think that we probably talked about this many a blunts
Yeah.
and many a moons ago, but I'm only a fan of the first one. Anarchy was okay, but did you like them? I don't remember. Have you seen them?
Okay. Nicole and I did not see the first Purge in theaters.
Okay.
Second one came out, and I think my movie theater was maybe still opened at the time. So we saw it there. The third one came out. Nicole's like, well, we already saw the first 2, so we went and saw that in theaters. They did 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because, it was the fourth one was the first Purge.
I think they did 5, dude. I don't even know anymore. I think
forget,
it's 5.
because then we didn't see the most recent one in theaters, but, like, other than that, every time it was just, well, we already saw the other ones. It was kind of like the Saw franchise.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, like, I mean, they're okay. And to be honest with you, you asked me about Anarchy. Dude, besides the first one, I can't differentiate any of the ones from the other ones.
And
to
there's
be
a
honest.
fucking television show that I've never watched a single episode
Yeah, I've
of.
not watched the TV show. I didn't really have interest. Kind of like when they did the Scream TV show. I didn't have any interest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still probably better than Scream 6.
I think what I liked about the first one was that, like, the first one was a social commentary, but it was also the first time you saw, like, that scenario, so it was kind of, like, badass and new. But as the movies and show, I believe, I haven't seen the show, like I said, but...
It became more political.
More political, and all about every episode or season or movie is a social commentary, and it's like, I don't need to watch a Purge movie because I don't want to have to be intelligent to watch a Purge movie.
I
You know what I mean?
Be a
Like,
smart man.
You should just make it so it's people fucking running around doing whatever the fuck they want, and you got people trying to survive. Cut through the bullshit and stop trying to always.
Why wouldn't you just go take a vacation, bro?
That's why I love slashers, dude. That's why we love slashers, because they don't. Some do, but for the most part, slashers are not social commentaries. They just cut right the fuck to the point. Like, sometimes you don't need all that extra layer of story.
Listen, I'm just saying. In the Purge, tell me, I would invest in a boat, and then I would charge people to come with me each year during the Purge, and we could just go, like, sail out in the water and shit until the Purge was over and come back.
That's the
so you making money, you making stacks, bruh.
Yeah, right. That's a really good idea.
But seriously though, why does nobody just take like a 1 day vacation? Like say you live in like Buffalo, New York, just hop over to Canada for a day. Just like hang out and come back.
Right.
Like your property might be gone, but you're gonna be alive.
Yeah, exactly. What's more important, your windows or your lives?
We devoted a lot to the Purge, so I'm gonna keep rolling along here. June 8th, 1984. Ghostbusters and Gremlins?
Hold up. Same day?
Dude, same day.
Which one are you seeing? Which one are you seeing? Ghostbusters or Gremlins? You can only see one. No movie hopping. Even though we would movie hop.
As I feel like I probably commonly do and incur the wrath of people for not having what's probably the consensus opinion, I would go Gremlins.
Me too. Me too, 100%.
Ghostbusters is the better movie, but
yeah,
I like Gremlins more.
Gremlins is just pure fun, man. Hell yeah, I'd be there.
I enjoy Ghostbusters. I would love to see that at theaters with some popcorn and shit. Hell yeah. I enjoy Ghostbusters, but I don't enjoy it necessarily, I feel, on the level that I feel like a lot of people do.
I agree with
it's a good movie. I enjoy it, but there's like, compare it to like you and me with The Crow. Like, you love The Crow, and I'm just like, it's okay.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's how I am with Ghostbusters. I'm like, it's okay. And there's people that are just fucking love that movie.
Ghostbusters and Indiana Jones were the big misses for me. Those are really popular ones that everybody likes. I'm just not a fan of those. But yeah, like you said, but I love The Crow. So I guess, what's that say about
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I don't like The Crow, and a lot of people like it. But, yeah. So June 9th, Johnny Depp. He said he don't need Hollywood. He doesn't need validation from Hollywood anymore. Yeah, bro, because you fucking rich. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, I don't need... Yeah, if I had your money, I wouldn't need validation from them either. I'd be like, kiss my whole asshole. Be like, I'm rich, motherfucker. Amber Turd gonna be paying me some money.
Amber Turd.
I just slipped that in there. But I'm just saying, like, that shit made me laugh when he was just like, oh, I don't need their validation anymore. Yeah, bro, because you're rich. You don't need to ever make a movie again.
You haven't needed validation in a long time.
Like, dude, how much money did he make on them damn pirate movies?
He needed a little validation after fucking Charlie and the Chocolate Factory came out, but he redeemed himself.
Anyway, man, another good movie, June 10th. This week, or at least these span of dates, some good-ass movies, High Tension.
Yeah, from what year was it?
2005.
2005. Shit. Yeah, that one's coming up on 20 years old
18.
too. Yeah, the thing is,
it's legal, baby.
This is not the most extreme horror movie that I've ever seen, obviously, but I use this as a measuring stick to this day. That's why I fucking watched it with you. That's why I've watched it with other people, like my sister. If I want people to watch something, or if people come to me and say, hey, I want to watch something totally brutal and fucked up, this is the movie I put on. And based on how they take it is based on whether or not we could be friends. No, but dude, that dresser decap. I always talk about that. That decapitation from the dresser, that's fucking insane.
We've talked about movies, like we've talked about a Serbian film and stuff like that, and you just have like one or two images just burned in your mind from the movie. At High Tension, that and the lawnmower.
Oh, yeah. Dude, yeah.
That's the two that I'm just like, whenever you mention that movie, that's all I think of.
What, the lawnmower from Sinister, you mean?
Oh,
Or-
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
The lawnmower from Sinister.
Yeah.
And that head decapitation from High Tension.
Dude, that lawnmower scene in Sinister got fucking everybody.
Dude, it was worse when we're watching the surround sound because it's just here we are talking about Sinister again. But and I probably already said this exact shit, but like, dude, it was the sound of it just being silent, and you're just like, it's silent, and just like,
Yeah,
like it's.
I remember.
I don't know who was in charge of sound of that movie, but like,
it got
damn,
you.
well done.
But no, I remember you looking over your shoulder, like when the little
You could
kids
hear,
were
like,
running
the
by. Like you actually looked over your shoulder. It made me laugh. I was like, yeah, this movie's fucking getting to him. Sinister's a good ass movie,
Dude,
man.
especially like if you have surround sound, man, you got to do it because
You
you
have
just
to,
like,
yeah.
dude, that shit was nuts. You could just hear the footsteps like behind.
It sounded like it was legit. Like the footsteps sounded they were on like the wooden floor right in front of us. Like like what the hell? But
maybe it helped because the floor was wooden as well.
it set the mood.
Yeah.
No, but pitch black, no lights, maybe some candles and surround sound. That's how you have to watch Sinister. Absolutely. But yeah. I guess
Found another way to talk about Sinister.
found another way to talk about Sinister.
But let's get into that PPA, that puff puff ass.
All right, Puff Puff Ask.
Yo, man. Puff, pass.
Puff Puff Ask is a segment of our show where we read off messages that you listeners write into us on social media at highonhorror420 and through email at highonhorror420@gmail.com and our website at highonhorror.com. I'll start.
Had to pause for that bong rip though.
All right. Tim G asks us.
Tim G.
Yeah, he asked, have you seen Bruce Campbell's recent tweets? And what do you think the odds are of him coming back as Ash for another movie? Well, I think it all depends. Have you seen his tweets, John?
I have not seen his tweets. What's the deets?
So basically, damn. All right. So basically, Bruce Campbell tweeted and said that somebody tweeted, actually, some fan, and they were like, man, after seeing Evil Dead Rise, I really liked that movie, but it made me really miss Ash. And Bruce Campbell actually responded to the tweet and said, I'm starting to kind of miss him too, ... a little bit, or something along those lines. So that's why Tim's asking, what do we think the odds are of him coming back? And after Evil Dead Rise was done filming, Sam Raimi told Bruce Campbell he needs to get his ass in shape. So there's a few things playing, but I guess
I would. Never mind. I'll let you finish and I'll give my opinion.
I
My
was
bad.
gonna
I just
say,
thought,
yeah,
like, you know how it is with some of those movies. You're like, you got that opinion right then.
I think it all depends, man. I think if everybody involved really wanted to make it happen, it'll happen. But the truth is, think a lot of people know this, but Evil Dead getting canceled, the reason that Bruce kind of just accepted it getting canceled and didn't like fight it, even though like everybody was disappointed and he was disappointed, he was content with it and he was able to just walk away. And the reason was because like it was actually really beating him the fuck up. Roles in the Evil Dead series are very physical and it was taking its toll on Bruce. You know, he's older now, and he said that on a day-by-day basis he would be interviewing the episode directors and telling them, hey, we got to redo the fight scene in this episode because my left knee isn't working today, or my back's out and stuff like that. And they would have to like figure out ways to like still get him to like do fight scenes and get the shots that they needed for the scenes. And it was very rough on him in his age. So again, I think if everybody involved really wanted to do it, I know that John and I would be sitting there, fucking first 2 tickets sold at that theater, at our local theater. We'll be there if it happens.
The only thing though is, if he does come back, I don't want it to be with this Evil Dead. Like this, like kind of how when we talked on the episode about
Let it be his
how,
own
how they
universe,
recognize
right?
each one's like their own thing.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't need to. We don't need Ash in that one.
Yeah.
Let Ash come back into, his own kind of thing. Doesn't need to be any connection with this Evil Dead, but I would still be interested in seeing the Evil Dead Rise series kind of continue.
Agreed. So,
Almost like how they do DC movies, where like
That's what I was
you
gonna
can
say.
have Batman movies. You can have Michael Keaton playing Batman in the Flash movie, but you have Robert Pattinson doing the Batman
and Ben Affleck playing Batman in
and
the
Ben
Flash
Affleck.
movie.
Like,
So
yeah,
Yeah, if they can do what the Evil Dead universe could do, we have two ongoing.
We need an Evil Dead universe.
Two ongoing universes or alternate
EDU.
universes at the same time. The Bruce Campbell, Ash storyline, and the Evil Dead Rise continuation. I'm all for it.
The EDCU, the Evil Dead Cinematic Universe.
I know a lot of people want to see him and Ash and Beth from the Evil Dead Rise and Mia from the 2013 remake. I know a lot of people say they want to see him team up with them, but I think that would never work because the thing about Pablo and oh my God, why can't I think of her name? Kelly. I think the thing that worked with Pablo and Kelly was that they were definitely like kind of followers. Like even Kelly, she was a little smarter and wittier.
Pablo for sure.
But you know, you're putting
they were
Ash in there.
sidekicks.
Correct. You're putting Ash in there now with like two alpha females, and like he wouldn't be like the leader necessarily. I don't really think that would work.
I don't think they would listen to him.
Yeah, that's too much. He would be kind of like a smaller role in the three. He wouldn't have as much. I don't think he'd be in charge as much, and I don't think that would work very well. So I don't think a crossover is necessarily a great idea. But I agree with you that the universe is continuing like in their own separate universes is a good idea.
Yeah, like I said, the Evil Dead Cinematic Universe. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I just think it should be Ash should kind of be his own thing, and each of those should kind of be on their own. I feel like, you know, obviously Ash now as a character's. It's kind of like Chucky, where it was started with the semi-serious, semi-comedy, and it's just more leaned into the horror comedy at this point.
Right.
And I just don't think that would mesh well with Evil Dead Rise, which was taking, you know, the more serious approach of the earlier Evil Dead movies.
Definitely.
But I mean, I don't give a shit if they announced that he was going to be a part of Evil Dead Rise. I'm still going to see it.
Look, look. We're talking about Evil Dead, and I don't mean to segue and like go off onto like a tangent here, but I have to tell you something that I know that you're going to be like, what? I told my wife this earlier. So I'm watching. I told you and our producer Josh that I was like going through kung fu movies and kind of like dissecting that genre. Now, like what I'm doing. Dude, I watched a movie that I had no idea going into it that it was a horror movie. It was a kung fu horror movie from the 80s, and it was like the Shaw Brothers movies had started to decline, so they decided to try to copy what America was doing, and like America was like really thriving on horror in the 80s, and especially like taking over like after the Evil Dead boom with all the gore and stuff. Dude, this was a horror kung fu movie called The Boxer's Omen from the 80s. It was literally like Jean-Claude Van Damme's Bloodsport with with Evil Dead, and starring Bolo Leone.
Okay.
Yeah, Van Damme's opponent in Bloodsport. So I thought when I told you that, I was like, I bet you John's gonna be like, all right, I should check this shit out, dude. It is batshit crazy. This dude cuts his head off, and his head flies across the room, and like little veins come out of it, and like wrap around the other dude's face, and like lift him in the air. It's like just gory, like Reanimator type of shit.
He's still Chong Li to me. Chong Li was a bad
It's awesome though. But yeah, anyway, sorry. You got a question.
Man, I mean, we could talk about Bloodsport now. I'd be down for that.
Yeah, we could watch it too.
Right?
Put it on in the background.
I'm just going to quickly throw out, because I'm going to argue that Mortal Kombat's horror related, but did you hear about an alternate skin for the new Mortal Kombat movie?
Jean-Claude Van Damme, right? They said after 30 years
after finally, he's finally going to be the character the character that was based off of him.
Oh shit! Nice. So
Johnny Cage was based off Jean-Claude Van Damme.
So he's gonna be Johnny Cage. It's gonna be him though.
And he's gonna in the video game. I was hoping it was like a movie. I was like, oh shit, that they finally came. But it's the new Mortal Kombat 1 game.
Yeah.
He's going to be an alternate skin for Johnny Cage. It's going to be Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I thought when I saw the news, I was hoping you were going to get like his Bloodsport skin or something.
Right? Yeah, that'd be badass.
Dude, the kickboxer with like the glass on his hands. You know,
I need
like
a Frank Dukes in one of the UFC games. Him and Chong Li.
Frank, dude, that'd be amazing.
All right, I need to stop. We haven't even got to the second question. Oh shit. What horror games are you guys currently playing? I need recommendations.
Rude. Who asked this?
Oh shit!
Ignore the name.
Terry B.
Terry B. Okay.
Terry B. asking questions.
What was the question again?
What horror games are you guys currently playing? You need some recommendations.
I mean, I'm playing Destroy All Humans 2, to be honest, and I really like it, but it's like a really dumb person game. But you're the gamer, so you have, I'm sure you have a good answer for this one.
I still keep playing on and off. Dead Rising 4 on my Steam Deck.
Oh shit! Isn't that the game John Carpenter talks about all the time? Or
no,
Dead Space, right?
It's Dead Space.
Okay.
I still haven't got to those. I want to play it now that they made a remake. But Dead Rising 4, the guy's a photojournalist. It's the fourth game, obviously, but like you find these weapons and you can start like combining them. Like I took fireworks. It's set around Christmas time. And I took like Christmas ornaments and put them into this like Christmas ornament. I just have a giant ball with like broken ornaments just beating the shit out of zombies. Like they had like a sledgehammer, but you put like C4 on it, so when you hit them with the sledgehammer, it explodes. I'm just out there like Triple H-ing people.
That's awesome. You have to you have your laptop up with the Triple H theme playing while you're playing. That'd be amazing.
Oh, dude! And they also had the fucking from Friday 13th Part 7. The like hedge trimmer.
Oh yeah,
like I had that on. Just going around, just cutting up zombies.
That's brutal as hell. That's
but
awesome.
You get like guns and shit too. It's fun.
What console is this on?
I mean, you can get it on like PS4. It's been out for a while. Like
I've never heard of it. Sounds awesome. But
there's
I'm
a
not
whole bunch in the series. I started playing a series. I'm only just like literally just started playing it. Devil May Cry. It's like an action RPG.
I played the first game. I think the first one was on the original PlayStation.
Yeah,
right? Yeah, I played that. I played that shit.
I also bought it on Steam Deck. It was on sale for $9. It's the first 3 games.
Oh, nice.
So I played like the first part. It's pretty fun.
Very cool.
And shit, what else I've been playing? Playing a lot of WWE, but that ain't hard. On and off, I've been trying the Puppet Master game. They're really, I'll give them credit. Like when I first played it, it was really rough to get through some stuff, but like
they're working on it.
I'll give them credit. Like all the time, I'm always getting updates for it, and they're always updating stuff. Because like one of them was like, you can go into a vent. The problem is when you went into the vent, the camera was like hard to see what you were doing. Like I literally got stuck in there for like 3 minutes in a simple ass vent because I couldn't see where I was going.
Oh shit! Okay.
But they worked on it, patched it, and like they've been working on it pretty good.
And you said my boy Torch is in the game?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
he's slow as hell.
He'll fuck you up though, man. My man sets you ablaze. I love that dude.
I still don't really think I know what I'm doing in the game though. I just attack people, but I always end up just, dude. It's funny. You'll laugh at this. Like they'll like kick you and shit, and it's a meter where you're stunned. It just says ragdolled.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, and the one I'll keep plugging it. I don't know why they don't do anything for me, but the Killer Clowns from Outer Space game. I want that to fuck come out.
I can't wait, man. I cannot wait for that. My son too.
Oh, and I told you I a little bit played. I've only played maybe about 20 minutes, but I had fun. Of the Evil Dead game.
Yeah. Heard that game was hard as shit. I plan on buying it. It's on sale now, so I'm sure I'll get it. I'm behind. It's going to be one of those things like with reading, where once I finally decide, okay, now I'm going to set aside time to catch up on gaming, I'm just going to be full blown in that. But right now, I just have too many things going on. I just can't make the time for it.
And on my Steam Deck, I downloaded a game you're a big fan of. This Left 4 Dead games.
Oh my god, Left 4 Dead 2, man, my favorite video game of all time. That shit was so much
the original
fun.
UFC?
Man, I remember like those were blockbuster days. I remember like getting fucking destroyed, getting drunk, getting high as shit, like smoking like fucking 10 blunts, then going in the basement of my boy's house and like we just taking turns playing fucking Left 4 Dead 2 with the lights out and shit. Some of us would be scared, some of us would be laughing. It was just like, it was intense. It was such a fun experience. I'll always remember that, man. My thing, set off a car alarm and then get on top of a car. And then when them zombies start coming at you, get that chainsaw out and just spin in a circle, Leatherface style, and cut them bitches up, man. I had my whole method worked out. I love that game.
Kenny used to get so mad at me because me and him would play together. And he used to just get so mad because I was not very strategic about it. I'm just running and gunning. And I would end up, he's like, stay the fuck away from the witch. And he's fucking cussing at me because I'm too far ahead and I just tripped the witch and she's like just fucking us up and shit. He's so mad. I used to piss Kenny off in shooting games a lot because I'm more about like I ain't got time. I'm like Jesse Ventura. I ain't got time to bleed.
All right. Well, on that note, if any of you listeners out there have any questions for us, reach out to us on social media at highonhorror420 or email us at highonhorror420.com. I'm sorry. Or email us at highonhorror420@gmail.com or visit our website, highonhorror.com. Now let's get into our review of Bury the Bride.
Ain't so simple to remember those sometimes, is it?
No, it's really not. It's really not.
All right, today's film is Bury the Bride, a 2023 horror film directed by Spider-One, co-written by Spider-One, and today's guest, Krsy Fox. The movie features a talented ensemble cast, including Krsy Fox as Sadie, Scout Taylor Compton as June, Dylan Rourke as David, Lindsay LaRose as Carmen, Chaz Bono as Puppy, Rachel Bruner as Liz, Katie Ryan as Betty, Andy Markinowitz. That is not Witz. I don't know why I said that.
It's Markinowski.
Thank you.
Or Marcinowski. One of those.
I changed it to a different Polish ending, like my buddy Radowitz. And Cameron Copperwaith as Bobby. And so basically we have a group of friends and they decide to have a bachelorette party in a small cabin. They start the evening by playing a drinking game, and one of their friends, Liz, gets intoxicated. She just starts talking nonsense and just starts digging into people's ass. She just got shit to say about everybody.
Yeah.
As the night progresses, tensions rise between Sadie and June, and that leads to a heated argument. And then the next day, they're having more festivities. Sadie grabs a bottle of expensive wine and delivers a toast. But, like, for me, like, it came off so insincere. It was, like, you could tell, like, she didn't mean the shit she was saying.
Yeah, but it's also, in Jeepers Creepers 2, you know, I hate to say this because it's going to call a lot of people out, but in Jeepers Creepers 2, something said that's very true, and it's, when you're angry or drunk is when you tend to tell the truth.
Yeah.
So even though, like, again, these are harsh truths, there are things beneath the surface that just she shouldn't be fucking saying, but she's saying them.
And suddenly we hear like a knock at the door, and then it's a group of just rowdy rednecks show up, scaring the shit out of all the girls pretty much. Sadie definitely appears the most angry.
Yeah, she immediately is like, who the fuck are these guys?
Yeah,
Why are
I
they here?
don't want them here. Get the fuck out.
Just immediately lets it be known that she's uncomfortable. She's immediately like not a victim. She's not just like, oh, okay, whatever you say. Like, no, she's standing toe to toe with these fucking rednecks. Like, yeah.
And meanwhile, we got a guy named David who turns out to be June's fiance.
His voice, man.
Yeah.
The voice of his had that. His voice is
he got
very
that.
intimidating.
He got that.
Dylan Rourke.
He got that payment voice.
Yeah.
from last shift.
Yeah, dude. He has that voice where
he got
it's
that
a
cult
commanding
leader voice.
Yeah. He got that cult leader voice. Fair enough.
But homie just starts acting like he owns the place, just makes himself right at home. And June confesses to Sadie that she knew the boys were coming, which only adds to Sadie's displeasure even more. In the midst of the chaos, Mike shares a story about losing his ear. The shit it made me laugh about this when he was like, yeah, so I lost it in a game of chance, and he's like telling the story, and the part that made me laugh is he goes, yeah, the guy had some kind of accent. It was either Mexican or French.
Yes.
Everybody's like, that's not even like.
You should be able to tell the difference in that.
Yeah, that's not right. The girls find it amusing when he mentions it. And amidst the conversation, someone comments about David supposedly having a missing tooth. June apparently... We don't actually see her say it, but it was brought up earlier that... Because they're like, oh yeah, doesn't he have missing teeth?
Yeah.
But he has a full set of teeth. And then David mentions they haven't properly secured the perimeter due to the presence of wildcats. And that sparks a debate with some of the girls about the boys' intentions.
Yeah.
Dude, my favorite, again, I think it was my guy Mikey, it says the line. When she's like, so you're going to kill those innocent animals? What are you, some kind of vegan? That shit had me dying.
Yeah, you texted me. You were like, "Yo,
I was like, Mikey's
dude.
my guy. He's a scumbag, but I like him."
Cactus Jack looking motherfucker.
Yeah, he got that half ear, the long hair.
I didn't even realize with the ear, but that's hilarious. Mick Foley does have half an ear. Oh, that's great.
So
always got to throw in some wrestling references.
And Carmen is fucking horny as shit. Like,
to say the least, man. She's throwing herself.
Yo,
all
she's
with these
throwing
guys.
herself at Cactus Jack pretty much.
Yeah.
They flirting hard.
Yep. Yeah.
And she wants to go with the boys, and I was like, I've seen these videos before.
Yeah. Right. No, I feel you. That's exactly what I think everybody's thinking.
I
is
was
you're
like,
this
oh,
is-
she just trying to
she's-
go to get laid.
like you mentioned Ragdoll earlier when you're talking about the
Jesus
Puppet
Christ.
Master video game, and that's
But
yeah.
like that seems like that's what she was going for, obviously. And then the others don't want her to go, but she ends up going with them anyway. And then she ends up having like this whole dance scene in front of the truck.
Yeah.
And you know what? I will say I did not picture rednecks listening to like some EDM type music.
You know what I was
for
going to
that.
say, though, that's funny? Was that usually during these types of, like, scenes, like I've talked to you before, like, it can make me feel uncomfortable. I'm kind of a prude with stuff like that,
Yeah.
especially if it goes on for too long. But I fucking dig the song. So I'm legit watching it, bobbing my head, just like, all right, I can watch this one.
And then Mike wants to take a photo with her. And I'm not going to spoil anything. We're going to save the spoilers for the interview. There's not really too many, and we'll give you a warning during the interview about it. But after she takes the photo, her phone's given back to her, and she's in a state of shock after getting her phone back.
To say the least.
And we'll leave it at that. I think that's...
That is, yeah. So let's do our ratings.
Yeah, and for me, Bury the Bride impressed me a lot. I think it's an amazing follow-up to Allegoria. Spider and Krsy put together a very good script. It contains tension. The bickering felt real. The chase scenes, if you will, were filled with dread. Every once in a while, I'll get that slasher movie, and that's what a good slasher does, is even though you're not necessarily scared, you can feel the tension, and you're just like, okay, what's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
It's like, I forget who it was in horror, compared it to the Jack in the Box, where you're just building that tension.
Yeah, I know
And
what
you're
you're
just
talking
waiting
about.
for something.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of good slashers do. Makes you feel a little nervous when people are creeping around, wondering where, the killers might be. The movie never felt like it dragged anywhere for me. And off the top of my head, personally, this is a contender for me for horror movie of the year. Like,
Nice.
I was generally pleased with this movie. I give it like an 8.3 out of 10.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. See, I hadn't seen trailers for this one going
I
in.
didn't either. When you told me about it, I didn't even check out any trailers. I saw the brief synopsis about what it was about. Was just a bachelorette party and shit pops off. That's all I know about it. I was like, I'm not even going to watch a trailer. I'm just going to put the movie on and watch it.
Right.
Which I need to start doing that with more movies. And I always say
go in
that.
blinded, man, But like, yeah, I had no idea what to expect. Truthfully, I thought it was going to be about like a marriage gone wrong and a guy kills his wife and maybe she comes back from the dead or something, like just based on the title. Something kind of like a Tales from the Crypt episode,
Or like a pervy redneck people. Like, I feel like that's where
Well, I
it was
didn't even
headed
know
for
it
me.
was rednecks, you know what I mean? But the
The
thing
Woods
is, though,
people.
is that, going in with no expectations, the movie like subverted my expectations a bit because the movie is so much more than that.
Yeah.
The performances are all around convincing. I think all the acting was really good. I think personally, to me, Krsy and Dylan stole the show. Like their acting was like really good. Like they were the characters that you were compelled to watch when they were talking.
He was a big David fan.
Yeah, yeah, dude. He was
I'm a Mikey guy. I'm
compelling
just chilling in the
character.
back looking like Bobby from
I just
Sons.
like Dylan because he just didn't take any shit. Like, he's just getting mouthed off and he just goes, "You watch your tone." And I'm just like, all right, I get it.
There was something along the
everybody
lines-
wants to say that to their woman at some point. You know what I
There
mean?
was
Everybody,
something
but
along
nobody
the
can say it as
lines
cool or as badass as
that when
Dylan
he was
did.
like, somebody shut this bitch up or shut up bitch or something like that, I was
Yeah.
just like, damn, homie's just gonna
Yeah, right.
I was like, you all known each other 5 minutes.
But yeah, the twist is sweet. I did not expect the twist or what the yeah, I didn't expect that at all. We get gore, suspense, and a sexy dance scene lit by headlights, like you said. I really liked the tension between the characters because that's how it is in real life. You have all this resentment or unsaid things that lead you to being able to easily criticize each other so quickly, and that's good writing, and it exposed the characters as being real and relatable.
Yeah.
And it's one hell of a good time, man. 100% rewatchability. 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say much more. Yeah, I mean, we're halfway through the year. Like I said, I'm going off the top of my head, and I mean, I would say at the very least, it's top 3 for me this
Top
year.
3 for sure. Yeah, top 3 for sure. Although it's
And
funny, non-horror related, my number one movie of the year, I've said this like every episode, I think, is
Puss in
still
Boots.
John Wick 4. John Wick 4 is my movie of the year, horror or not. That's my movie
I was
right
thinking
now.
it was Puss in Boots.
I mean, that movie's good too. I've had to watch it like 1,000 times because
Yeah.
of my kids, but
You sound like you're being tortured.
I mean, at first, but now I'm just used to it. I think I'm just like, just
It's
so
just
used to the beating that
comfortably
it's
numb.
just, yeah, exactly.
Well, anyway, let's get into our interview with our guest, Krsy Fox, and talk more about Bury the Bride.
All right. Our guest today is the co-writer and producer of Bury the Bride. She's also the editor and the star. Welcome, Krsy Fox. Thank you for being on High on Horror.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so for starters, we always ask our guests this because, in our opinion, horror and cannabis go together like peanut butter and chocolate. Do you partake in the devil's lettuce at all?
I mean, I'm not like a daily, but yeah, I mean, if there's an event that it makes sense, absolutely. It can be great.
Well, I mean, we'll definitely agree with that. Now, do you like smoking? Do you like edibles, vaping?
I can't do edibles. I've tried it a couple times and I freak the fuck out like I do. So I can't do it. I'm hoping that maybe as I get older, I'll chill out and I can handle it better. But no, just smoking it. If I ever do it, that tends to be, yeah. Anytime I've ever eaten it, edibles, anything, I lose my mind. I'm horrible.
That's fair. I mean, that's happened to me a couple times where I feel like maybe there was more milligrams than what I was being told. And I'm like, okay, this is way too intense for the situation I'm in right now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what it is. Maybe I don't understand how much I'm supposed to take. So, yeah, maybe you guys can teach me.
We just, what attracted you to the horror genre itself?
Oh, everything. I mean, I remember seeing films like The Texas Chainsaw Massacre really young. And, the first really scary film I saw, which now doesn't feel scary, but at the time it did, was The Fly. And I was 3 years old and I was in a hotel room. So I was in like a strange place and I had to sleep on the floor that night. And all I could think about was that it was under the bed. And and so I don't know, there's something about that sensation of being scared. And when I first saw The Texas Chainsaw Massacre and realizing I was completely horrified, like traumatized, and it ended. And then I just wanted to watch it again. So maybe there's something really wrong with that. I just had never really seen a film that that way. You know what I mean? And I wanted that feeling again and the adrenaline. And so, yeah, horror has been consistently my favorite genre my entire life.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because it was the same way for, I believe, John and I as well. Our favorite movie is Halloween, the original Halloween, and it scared the living shit out of us. But our first thought was like, I want to watch it again. And it's like, well, I don't know what it is, but like, why are you like magnetized to something that just terrified you? I don't know what it is, but I don't know.
Yeah, and some people are smart and they're like, no, like I'm not going to do it. I don't want to have nightmares. But I'm like, well, I don't know. I think some of my nightmares have actually inspired scripts and stories, and so you know what, I'm like, whatever. It's there's no genre that you can get romance and you can get comedy, but then you can also get terror and gore. It's the only one that you get everything.
100%. And so you have a band, correct? Tell us about that.
I do. I have a band called Krsy Fox. We've been around since about 2011, and we've toured a lot. It's funny, when I started out as a songwriter, so I would write songs for other bands, and you kind of have to write in a box, sort of, because you're writing lyrics that someone else has to say and believe. So you have to really think about the band and what they're comfortable saying or what their message is, and so, which is great. But I was also like, I need an outlet that I can just say whatever I want and do whatever I want. And if I want to make a song that has rap in it, but then metal, and I can just do whatever I want, and there's no limitations creatively. So that's kind of where Krsy Fox started. And, we've done a lot of it been actually very inspired by the horror genre too, which was cool for me because I always, there wasn't a ton of bands that when we started that were doing that, was just, would write songs about horror films that inspired them and there's a lot more now. So that was really fun. And so then, the band, we just started touring and we started getting a following, and I was like, oh wow, cool. There's some people whose brains work the way mine does. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it's just a really high energy, fun band. And when you go to our show, it's always, pretty crazy and, lots of jumping around and moshing. And it's great. I love it so much. And I actually miss touring. I've been doing a lot more film lately, so I haven't toured in a couple years. But, a lot of people, unfortunately, had to stop during the pandemic. So I'm not the only one.
Right. And but you write music for other people as well, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're just all around very creative.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I've been really lucky. I got to work with some great bands like Theory of a Dead Man and Hailstorm and Pop Evil and New Year's Day and a bunch of really cool rock bands that I really, really love. And so it's great, and it keeps all the different creative elements. It is fun and challenging when you have to write for a band that already exists and already has a voice. So, you always have to kind of think about, well, what would they say and what something new that they could say and then come to them with, fresh ideas. And it definitely keeps my brain working.
That's awesome. Absolutely. Okay. So, since I wanted to ask you now, we're going to get into Bury the Bride. Since you co-wrote Bury the Bride, I'm curious as to what made you want to be the role of Sadie, to play the role of Sadie, the responsible one.
It was funny. With Bury the Bride, all the characters, specifically the women, they're kind of just extensions of themselves, like the actresses who play the characters, and they're just like the more extreme versions of themselves. And we sort of realized that as we started shooting it. And originally, I was going to either play June or I was going to play Sadie. And I was leaning away from Sadie because I was like, well, I'm the big sister in my life. Like I have two little sisters, and a lot of the inspiration for the story actually came from that. So I was like, well, maybe it'd be more interesting to play June because it's a different character. But it just made a lot of sense. And when we started talking, Scout is a really good friend of ours. And when we started talking about her playing June, it just made a lot of sense. And her and I love each other so much. It was very easy for her to play my sister. And she actually looks like my little sister a little bit. So it all kind of just fell into place the way it was supposed to. And I'm actually really glad I got to play Sadie because the character unravels in a way that I've never got to play a character like that. She almost becomes an animal at the end of the movie. You know what I mean? And I thought that was really fun, like her arc from going, like being this like really uptight, materialistic sort of girl who's just trying to keep everyone under control, and she's sort of like the alpha of the group. And then she just, when she realizes she has no control over this situation, just watching her slowly unravel. And I was so exhausted, as was everyone else, while we were shooting this film, that I just naturally unraveled anyway. So it was a really authentic thing to do.
That's awesome. And I had another question about Sadie, but real quick, I'm just going to jump back to that you mentioned the band Hailstorm. Like, Hailstorm's huge in this area. They started out as like a local band on the radio for like a local shot segment, and like they're a huge band now. So like that's awesome. Like it's like a huge band out here for us in the area.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I co-wrote that song "I Miss the Misery" with them.
That's a good song.
That's an awesome song.
Thank you. I'm really proud of that one, and it was one of those things when I kind of came up with the concept. I was like, no one really that I could think of would make more sense to sing this than Lizzie Hale. So
That's fair.
Yeah, she kills it.
And just go back to the movie here. I was going to say, did you feel like co-writing the film kind of helped you with playing the character of Sadie?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was an interesting progression because this film came together really fast. I had this seed of an idea, and then I sort of told Spider about it, and we talked about it for a few days and kind of fleshed out the idea and kind of came up with that big twist that happens. I don't know if we're going to do spoilers on this, but the twist, and once we sort of figured out how everyone was going to die and how, what, the motivation was for each character, it wrote itself very fast. And I think it did help me, with, it's interesting. When we wrote the script and then we did a table read, once we had everybody cast, the film felt at the table read almost more comedic. We were having a lot of fun and laughing, and it felt lighter. But then when we got on set in that environment and we actually had to watch people die and there was blood, and it felt very heavy. And because I wrote these characters and I felt so attached to them and so attached to Sadie, I would drive home and the sun would be coming up because we did night shoots, and I was like, I felt like traumatized, like genuinely sad that these people died, even though obviously they didn't die for real, but watching these characters go through all of this. And so, yeah, I think I felt probably closer to the script and to the story than maybe some of the other actors.
Well, it's cool that we're talking about the writing process, because I wanted to ask you, writing something, on your own and having complete creative control is one thing, but how was it co-writing with Spider-One? Like, was it challenging working with someone, or did it flow smoothly?
It actually went smoother than I thought it was going to. Because I have a history of co-writing music, I've learned to be open to other people's ideas and not be super precious, but still fight for things that I feel like are correct. And Spider has had less experience with collaborating with somebody. But I think our visions were very clear on where the story needed to go. And I think also having the female voice for some of these female characters and then the male voice for some of these male characters made the dialogue, and it just felt more authentic to me. Because I could be like, oh no, girls would never talk like that. Or he could say the same thing, like, yeah, a guy wouldn't say that, or a guy wouldn't do that. And I think having that energy, the male and female energy within the script, I feel like it really read when I watched the film. So it was a lot smoother. It only took us like a week and a half once we figured out where the story was going to actually write the script. It was really quick. So yeah, no, it was great. And honestly, I hope we get to do it again, maybe a sequel.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and you were mentioning the dialogue, and that's one of the standout things for me, is everything felt very authentic from the characters, and I guess that kind of explains a little more with you writing for the female parts and Spider for the male. But like Drew and I were just talking about this before we went on air. We're like, the dialogue in it was just so good and felt just like I said, like authentic.
Genuine,
thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I mean, we didn't necessarily have a rule like that. I certainly wrote stuff for the men and he wrote stuff for the women, but I think, yeah, having those real clear voices, and the women especially, they're like the same age group as me, and honestly all of us are friends. Like every person in that film were genuinely all good friends, so it made everything as we wrote it, we're like, okay, like we knew we wanted Lindsay to play Carmen, we knew pretty early on that we wanted Scout to play June, and we wanted Rachel to play Liz, and the only person we didn't really know that came in was Katie Ryan, who played Betty. And we auditioned a lot of people, and she was just the obvious choice to us as soon as we saw her tape. And then since then, we've become very close with her. So we like to work with a lot of the same people over and over again because we know what they're capable of. And we also just have like a chemistry that you can't fake, I think. And so that was really fun. And it was sort of just like a really crazy middle of the night desert summer camp with a bunch of your friends. So
yeah, and then you have that familiarity of working with each other, and you kind of know what to expect from each other.
totally.
And yeah, where did the idea for the film come from originally?
I tend to, when I have a shower, I usually come up with weird ideas, like whether it's a song idea and I was thinking, I was in the shower one day, and Spider and I were actually both working on different projects. We were moving on some other scripts that we were developing, and I came up with this idea that we do a bachelorette party that is like a contained one location sort of story, but it gets crashed by the the groom to be. And so I had like the basic idea, but I kind of just was talking to Spider. I'm like, maybe this is something we could shoot quickly in between projects, and it could be something sort of easy but creative because, I really want to make something soon. And, and some of the other things were sort of longer projects. And it was not quick or easy, just so you know, but actually it seemed like it was going to be, but when you're shooting out in the desert, all night shoots with every element against you and 9 characters that basically appear throughout the whole movie. It's a big undertaking, a lot, but I'm very glad that it ended up happening. And, so the story sort of started there. And then once we started talking about it, we were like, we need an extra element. And that's where that twist sort of came in. And we're like, this is either the stupidest idea or the best idea. And we honestly didn't know if people were going to figure it out right away. But it's been pretty much unanimous that people have come up to us and been like, I was shocked. I did not see that coming. And we got to...
I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I did not.
That's great. Like, we hoped that was going to be the case, but that wasn't necessarily like, we weren't living and dying by that. It was just sort of like, okay, hopefully this surprises some people. And we were in the theater when we did the world premiere at Panic Fest in Kansas City. And we heard the room when the reveal happened. And we're like, wow, it actually really worked. Like, it was, everybody just gasped. And we're like, this is so
it got me good.
Yeah, that was not on my radar at all. I literally watched it and went, holy shit. I really was not prepared for it.
Oh, I'm so glad. That's exactly what we hoped was going to happen. But, we're like, either way, it's a cool film because, it's a genre we really like. And we thought it was really fun because we got to play with the lore a little bit. But it's been great that, pretty much every person has said that. They're like, wow. And it's been nice to see, like, online people are like, go into it. Don't even watch a trailer. Don't read anything about it. Just watch it. And so those are some of my favorite type of films. So I was very happy that this one was effective that way.
Yeah. And you were talking about like the location in the desert, the house itself, like it was just perfect for the movie. How did you end up finding that?
So originally it was written to be a cabin in the woods vibe. And we live in Los Angeles. So I saw a gazillion locations and nothing was right. I swear to God, I was almost going to get chopped up by this cult out in the middle of some weird desert. I ended up like I went to look at a location and all these people lived on the grounds. And I was like, this is scary. We can't work here. And then randomly we just sort of came across this location and we're like, well, we have to drive out and see it. And it's in Lancaster. So it's over an hour drive from where we live. And so we drove out and the location not only had that amazing house on it, but it had that trailer and that other house where we later on find Puppy. It was a house that was like in a flood in the 80s and they just left it like that. And so like all the windows were blown out and just the production value of how cool that location was. We just were like, we have to shoot here. We're just going to rework the script and have it take place in the desert. And you're like, we're there in the daytime and we're like, it's warm, but we're going to be shooting at night. So it's not going to be super hot or anything. So it's going to be fine. So then we actually fast forward to shooting it and it's like, yes, the daytime stuff was sweltering hot, but the nighttime stuff was freezing. And then they would have and there's these crazy windstorms. You'd have like dust tornadoes. Everyone's filthy, like blind. Scout and I almost got bit by a rattlesnake. We had to have a snake specialist.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like it literally, like out of a movie. We're on our knees rehearsing that toolbox scene and she bumps a tumbleweed and like a rattlesnake starts rattling, like rises up in front of our face. And then we're like walking to the scene where, Carmen goes off with the guys and has the infamous dance scene. And we're like walking out there and there's these like aggressive desert spiders charging us. Like, I don't even know what kind of spiders they were because I'm not someone who spends a lot of time in the desert, but they were like running at us. We had shovels and we're like, get the fuck out of here. Like, it was so scary. So just despite everything else, and then, we're covered in blood and, Scout and I are wet from the hot tub and then we're running around and it's freezing. And so, yeah, it was a really challenging film to shoot, really hard. And we were all so tired because we hadn't slept in, 7 days. So yeah, we were genuinely, some of the tears and the screaming and crying, those were real,
Well, yeah, now that you told us the most challenging things about making the movie, what was your favorite part about making the movie? And was it the editing process?
Editing process is always one of my favorite because it's really a lot of the hard work and the long hours are when you're shooting it. But then when you get back and you can actually like watch the footage and see what's really there. And, I think the first scene I cut together was that standoff scene with all the guns and everyone's, and when I cut that together, Spider and I watched it and we're just like, holy shit. I think this is going to be really good. This feels really good. Like, yeah, like we watched it and we had that pit in our stomach and we're like, this is exciting. And so yeah, I feel like the editing process is always really fun. And I feel like it's almost as creative as writing the film or shooting the film. And then I think the other major thing for me was just getting to make a film like this with the cast and crew we did, because our crew is like our family at this point. We use the same people for everything we do. And the cast, like I said, we're all like genuinely really good friends and everybody is so good in it. Like I'm an actor nerd and I just like loved watching the other actors perform. I get like in awe of other people. And so it's super exciting for me to work with people that I just think are, oh, sorry, that's my phone. That people who are just really extremely talented. That's just super exciting. So yeah, I think those are the major things. And just, at the end when we wrapped and we're like, holy shit, we actually pulled this thing off. It was really exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I wanted to ask you, because you were mentioning how, you're like an older sister and stuff, so you understand, relationships and the kind of bond that the girls in this movie have. And I wanted to know, like, I personally feel that the girls could have fought harder to tell June not to marry David. But I felt that because of the turmoil beneath the surface, y'all were like trying to like avoid a blowout of a fight. So you just kind of let it go. And now in retrospective, I'm sure all those characters would have been like, no, we need to tell her fucking don't do this.
Yeah. I mean, it's a real dynamic if you're like trying to keep the peace, especially with women. Like we all have those friends, right? That are making a mistake or they keep going back to the same person and you're like, this person is bad news. They've cheated on you. They're abusive or there's just something you're like, this is not good for your friend. But like, you'll just lose your friend. And I think that's sort of Sadie's scenario with June is she's like, she has to be supportive of June because otherwise she's afraid she'll lose her, like she lost her mom. And so it's like, yeah, walking that line where they may think one thing, but they know better than to say it. And then, then it becomes very clear that, oh shit, maybe we should have.
Yeah.
But I think it feels very real. And, I've certainly had friends that I'm like, why are you with this person? You need to run. And at the same time, I'm like, well, but if they want to go out for dinner, I love my friend and I'm going to go. And so, yeah, I want to, and Spider and I both like, especially the women characters, a lot of times in film, like people get afraid to show women being flawed, because, but that's real. You know what I mean? Women are flawed. They're just as flawed as men and they can be just as strong as men and they can, and I think like just showing like the more human dynamic. And I think it means more when the women, try to fight back or that moment when you see Liz stand up for Carmen and she's like, take me to her. Like, I felt like, oh, they seem like they hate each other the whole time, but there's like this deep like respect and they do love each other and they do care about each other. And I think that felt more real to me. And it also meant more when she stood up for her. So that was kind of our thinking behind it, is just making just more authentic characters that you're like, oh yeah, that's just like me, or that's just like my sister,
Absolutely. That's why I brought it up, because I think what you and Spider came up with really comes across the screen pretty clearly, like you telling me that, and then with the questions I had, because they seem like genuine characters, and that's why I asked about the turmoil under the surface, because you get a little taste of that, but every like real relationship that I've ever had has had that, where like you're one snap of the fingers away from like, cutting your best friend down, because even though you're best friends, over the years, there's some sort of shit that you have in your mind, and the same for them, and it's like you all have that, and I felt that in the movie, like they all had a little bit of like, this chick's a bitch, I feel like they all felt that about each other, but we're all like just still like, we're friends though, so let's push through it. And so that's why I was like, I think that the idea was that they didn't want to tip the bucket too much and like ruin the weekend by like just completely having an intervention.
Sure, and I think especially like with women, you put those like 5 different personalities like that in an environment that isn't comfortable, and in a small environment, like there's that competition between Liz and Carmen because they're like the new best friend and the old best friend, and then you have Sadie, who's used to always being in control of scenarios and being the boss and being like the mother figure, and then her friend Betty, who actually is a mother, who's like the oldest of the group, who has watched June grow up, and all of these different personalities who have, different focuses and goals throughout the film, and to see the way they react, like, and people get, when you watch a horror movie, you're like, oh, that was such a stupid decision. Why would you do that? And I think that's a horror movie thing anyway, but I also think, or we tried to think about, well, what would that person actually do? And maybe it isn't the smart choice, but maybe Liz didn't think, her demanding to be taken to Carmen was going to be the outcome. I'm sure she didn't think it was going to be good, but I'm sure she also didn't think that it was going to be that bad. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
right. And I will say that at the beginning of this episode, we do say that there is spoilers, and that we do give a warning to our listeners to not tune in past a certain point, so they know not to catch anything they don't want to hear. So I'm going to officially read off the first spoiler question that I have.
okay.
The vampires in this movie have got to be the rudest motherfucking vampire clan that I have ever seen. They have no hospitality whatsoever. They're definitely not the Lost Boys. Am I right?
No. I mean, if we were gonna do a vampire thing, I didn't want to do vampires we've all seen before, where it's like the super sexy, high class, sophisticated vampires, or the more creature-esque vampires. We're trying to do something that's a little different, and I think there is a charm to these guys. Like, it's funny, like women in certain parts of the country or certain place, like, it'll be like, oh my God, that's like the exact type guy I like. Like, he's just like, and so like there is something endearing and charming about them, and like rugged, and you can kind of see why a city girl that's like sort of rebelling like June's like, I just want that. I want like a man that's just gonna like say what they think and not give a shit. And so when we went into the vampire thing, we're like, this will be cool, because I think that people watching it would never expect these guys to be vampires. They don't seem like it. And they just sort of speak their mind, and they're very like dirty and, and so, but I think that's also real life. I'm from Canada, from like a small town in Canada, and I know guys like this. They're not vampires and they're not murderers. My brother is friends with these guys, so.
Yeah, it's like, and you don't see it coming, because I feel like you see them and you think of like, oh, these are just like some redneck dudes that are going to like murder them. And like, you don't expect vampires. And then like you see the teeth, and I'm just like, holy shit. Like, I was not ready for that. I just thought it was just a bunch of creepy rednecks like that were going to kill these women. Like, like it was well done. Like, I don't think anybody saw that coming.
I mean, so far I haven't heard anybody, and thank you. I mean, I think that the whole idea with that uncomfortably long dance with Carmen was to really be like, people are like, oh my God, this girl's going to get raped. This is going to be horrible. Like, this is going to be like a spit on your grave or something, like, it's going to, and we wanted to let it sit long enough that people are like, oh my God, stop, please stop. These guys are going to do something so bad. And then they do something so much worse. You know what I mean? They actually freaking eat her. And I think that that was sort of, I mean, it was really sad though to kill Carmen. That was a really, really, really sad one. I'm not going to lie.
And following up on Drew's Lost Boys question, I want to say, what's your favorite vampire movie?
That's a good question. I mean, I have a couple. I mean, other than Bury the Bride, of course. I think the original Fright Night is my number one. But I also am a huge. I was actually lucky enough to get to be in one of these films. I really loved Underworld, and got to be in Underworld Evolution.
Oh yeah.
Play a vampire, and that was. I was so excited when I got that role because I loved the first one. A totally different type of movie, but I thought they're really cool and clever and stylistic. And I love Interview with the Vampire. And but yeah, I think Fright Night still might hold it for me. It's just there's something so unnerving about that film.
As a kid, that was the vampire movie I watched the most. I watched it all the time.
It's so good.
And our producer Josh, no lie, is a huge Spice Girls fan.
Oh well, good.
He loved the Spice World reference. He wanted us to ask, who is your favorite Spice Girl and why is it Scary Spice?
Well, okay, the Spice Girl thing really for me. I used to make my siblings dress up like the Spice Girls and make them perform. I was such a diehard. Like I had every Barbie doll, and honestly, as an adult, I got to see them, a young adult, and I like cried the whole concert. Like but I don't know. I think my favorite's like picking my favorite child, but I always really liked Baby. I just liked her voice. But I don't know. I would change my mind. It's sort of like, for me, Spice Girls and Friends go hand in hand, and like picking your favorite Friends episode is like impossible, So I'm a total dork, and yeah. But I mean, I was really excited to get the Spice Girls thing in there, and my sister thought that was really funny because I totally used to do that to her. So.
And how much blood was used in the film? Because this is a gory one, and I mean the effects are really well done, but it seemed like there was a lot of blood in this one.
There was. I feel like definitely Carmen's death. There was an excessive amount of blood, and June's death. That was pretty crazy because we were just, and then the whole like stabbing David thing. We were so cold. Like, but I couldn't even tell you how many gallons of blood, but I can tell you that it was the most uncomfortable thing ever to shoot that big ending, because it was just, not only did we have to be literally sprayed over and over and over again with blood, but then we had to lay in it, and it was cold and wet and it was freezing out. And then there was, I talked about the spiders and the bugs out there, like fake blood, they're attracted to it. It's sugary. So like Dylan, the guy who plays David, who is amazing in the film, he got up after he did his death scene, and he had 2 giant squish spiders on his back and one alive on the front of his shirt.
Oh man.
It was so like, yeah, it was traumatizing. But yes, a lot of blood to answer your question. It was, I don't even know how much, but I'm sure that they're still finding blood all over that house.
Well, hopefully nobody's using it.
Oh, well, it's actually, the craziest thing was, so the cast had this giant fifth wheel as their trailer. It was huge. It had like bedrooms and stuff, because we obviously wanted people to be comfortable amongst the conditions. And it was brand new and gorgeous. And like, I went in after we finished shooting and we had to clean it up, and it was so destroyed. Like, I don't even know how we got all the blood out of it. It was insane. Like, I truly don't know. It looked like an entire family was slaughtered in that trailer. It's horrible.
So we want to thank you again for joining us today. It's been a pleasure getting to talk about the movie with you. Do you have any upcoming projects you want to talk about?
Yeah, actually, my production company with Spider, One Fox Productions, we've begun our pre-production for our new film called Little Bites. And it's a totally different type of horror, but if you liked Bury the Bride, you'll probably like this one too. There's a monster in it, which is very fun. And
nice.
And our cast, which I can't announce yet, is absolutely ridiculous. Like, the people that we get to work with on this one and the producers. So yeah, so just keep your eye out. It will be announced really soon. And yeah, we start shooting at the end of June. So really, really, really quick.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you so much. And if you guys are doing, if anyone's doing the film festival circuit, I also have a short out right now called Hymns that our 3-year-old daughter is the co-star of. And it's been doing festivals. I think it's playing at Portland Horror and Dances with Films, Apulia in Italy, and Days of the Dead, which is in Indianapolis, and then in LA in August. So, and then there's more to come. So look out for that one too.
And where can people keep up with you online to follow your projects?
Yeah, you can go to onefoxproductions.com or the One Fox Productions Instagram, or you can follow Krsy Fox, KRSY FOX at Instagram, and Twitter. I'm Knee High Fox, and Krsy Fox on Facebook, and you can follow Spider One as well.
Awesome. And again, we want to just thank you for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure getting to talk to you.
Thanks for stopping by, Krsy.
Of course. Thanks so much, guys.
All right. Thanks to all the horror hounds and smokers out there for tuning in. Thank you again to Krsy Fox for joining us today. Make sure to check out Bury the Bride on Tubi. I mean, it's free, so you don't even have to spend any money to watch it.
You have no reason to not watch it.
No fucking reason. Get on it.
Get on it.
Anyway, join us next week, and we're finally going to get on to part 3 of Monsters.
Where are the monsters? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you forget the name of the title, or is that just your slang for it?
I was just calling it Monsters, dog.
Okay.
Slinging them monsters.
Anyway, yeah. So I think we announced this before, but then we switched our schedule around. So this will be our Godzilla vs. Destroyer episode, our first ever Godzilla episode. So I'm really looking forward to that.
If I'm correct, Godzilla got bumped by Joe Bob.
It did.
Damn, Joe Bob, bigger box office than Godzilla. I can't.
I'm not gonna. Well, yeah.
In our world, he a bigger box office.
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah, make sure to follow us online, High on Horror 420 at Facebook, Gmail. That's. You can't follow us on Gmail.
So you fucked
God
up too.
damn,
I'm glad
man,
we
we struggling.
both fucked it up.
We don't even know our social media. High on Horror 420, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, OnlyFans. Okay, the last 2, we're not. We got them premium snaps for you. Nobody wants that.
No.
Send us some PPA questions, highonhorror420 at gmail.com. Check out our website, highonhorror.com, and about wrap her up. Catch you later.
Bye, everybody.